right, to begin.
Okay, so hi, good day, class. Hi, good day, sir. Today, my group and I will be discussing chapter 5, which would be understanding others. In my group, we have Kishaf Maharaj, Colonel Beckles, and myself, Daniela Drayton. So, just for a quick chapter overview, the following provides a brief overview of chapter 5 concerning certain attributes related to gender, ethnicity, and culture, where it demonstrates the importance of recognizing the differences in the pursuit of inclusivity and empowering leadership. It also delves into different leadership procedures, such as communication, conflict resolution, and decision making, which are impacted by diverse perspectives. And finally, it wraps up with an examination of communication abilities such as empathy and assertiveness, which are valuable for effective collaboration in leadership roles. A central goal, according to the text, of understanding yourself is to develop a sense of self awareness that can result in true community and common purpose with others. So, there are three central questions that one can ask themselves, which would be: how am I like no one else here? How am I like some others here? And how am I like everyone else here? So now we will dive into individuality and commonality. So according to the text, in any group's type setting, individuals naturally form social identities based on shared characteristics, their experiences, and their goals. This type of identification of similarities leads to certain subgroups or rather subcommunities within larger groups. So the shared characteristics can be visual, such as their race or their age, their attire, or it can be based on shared beliefs, their experiences, or their interest. Ultimately, though, finding people with whom you share similarities with creates a sense of association and belonging within larger groups. On a transcendent level, individuals are bounded together by things like a common desire to learn, their shared values in organizational meetings, or a collective goal, such as changing university policies. The challenge of leadership still lies within unifying diverse individuals towards their common purpose. So, establishing a shared purpose, vision, and commitment is the ultimate test of community building. Um, One challenge in understanding oneself would be to modify behaviors and attitudes to encourage openness and connections with others. Additionally, to engage in the hard work of understanding others to form meaningful communities. And lastly, with the differences in personality types and learning preferences and experiences, it requires a more of a pluralistic type of leadership for effective change. So, this type of leadership is enhanced by understanding and appreciating and possessing the skills to communicate across borders and come to common understandings. So in the text, they refer to Maya Angelou's poem Human Family, and it stated that it brought insight into commonalities when she concluded her poem, where she said, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike." So now we will dive into understanding gender diversity. So it is crucial to consider how gender can influence the attitudes and behaviors and shapes worldviews because gender differences encompass both sex roles that are influenced by biology and socially constructed gender roles. So, sex roles that stem from biology would be like pregnancy in women and muscle mass in men, while gender roles are socially constructed, and they are socially constructed expectations that are labeled as masculine or feminine or masculine. This type of awareness is essentially for understanding ourselves and others. Um, Gender roles are often limiting and can be inaccurate when assigned to individuals. So, for example, historically, men have been limited in the involvement of child development because the term quote unquote nurturing has been considered to be a feminine role. So, similarly, when women are facing challenges in participating in sports like football and rugby due to the high level of physical contact, which is then considered masculine. So, those who do not conform traditionally to those gender expectations can and may face discrimination. Additionally, conventional leadership expectations that favor traits may exclude women that are capable and men who are also capable that do not fit into that realm, right? The formation of gender role perceptions begin in early childhood, as it is influenced by how we socialize our children. So parents, peers, the toys that they play with, their exposure to media, um, are all factors that influence that. Boys are often, as we know, socialized and taught to be tough and competitive and not to show emotion, while girls are encouraged to be more caring and emotional and supportive. So it states that childhood play activities can contribute to the establishment of behavioral patterns in adulthood, with the boys engaging in more competitive and hierarchical games, emphasizing winning or losing, while the girls prefer more cooperative and non competitive activities that focus on social relationships. Um, the text discusses that gender differences in seeking intimacy and independence, that influence of childhood play experiences on personality development, and the impact on social expectations on leadership roles. It also emphasizes that the attributions for success and failure differ between men and women, and it highlights the importance of recognizing individuals and their diverse social identities. So, overall, the text kind of underscores the need to acknowledge and respect the varying perspectives and attributes that individuals bring to different situations. So, moving along to understanding cultural diversity. The concept of culture encompasses the way a group of people may think, the way they may feel, the way they behave, which is inclusive of their knowledge, values, beliefs, and their communication styles. So, culture is known as a dynamic and can be applied to various settings, such as office type settings, campuses, and different ethnic groups. Effective leaders should embrace multiculturalism in order to foster inclusivity and collaboration, because it is important to be cautious about the construct of a race, because according to the text it lacks a biological foundation. Sorry. um, the text also discusses the concept of race as a social construct rather than a biological reality. It challenges the widely accepted division of people into distinct racial groups, and it emphasizes that race, despite it lacking a biological basis, can significantly influence life chances and opportunities. The impact of race on campuses and the need for inclusion and empowerment are also highlighted. Overall, though, the text emphasizes that the importance of valuing contributions from all participants. So in the past, the dominant culture has not had to question its beliefs or practices because they were not the ones that were disadvantaged or anything of that nature. So the majority's norms have been used to judge those outside of the majority. The focus on racial and ethnic diversity, specifically in America, has brought attention to the concept of what we know as quote unquote white privilege. Um, this includes benefits such as shopping without being followed, and finding products that resembles oneself easily. So like an example of that would be, let's just say, a woman of a darker complexion going to, let's use a local store, Sasha. She's going to Sasha to find makeup to match her skin tone. Um, her form of inclusivity in there would be finding a shade that actually matches her skin tone. And that is a privilege. So whether the privilege is based on race, gender, sexuality, the ability, or their financial status, um, we can unconsciously or rather subconsciously contribute to the oppression of others. So before I close, I would just like to say that it is important that we recognize and value different characteristics of leadership. So that's it for my piece. I'll pass you on to my colleague, Mr. Maharaj.
Okay, so understanding international diversity, key concepts for effective leadership. Engaging with individuals for diverse cultural backgrounds is both rewarding and complex. The guide outlines essential principles for understanding international diversity and enhancing leadership effectiveness. The importance of cultural understanding. Some key insights: cultural knowledge, global leadership skills. So, cultural knowledge. Successful leaders need to recognize cultural differences and similarities which influence the interpersonal interactions. Global leadership skills. Traits such as adaptabi- adaptability, cultural empathy, and emotional intelligence are critical for effective global leadership. So, some Project Globe findings. Cultural define a set of shared values and beliefs that shape how things are done in different countries. Dimensions of culture. Nine key dimensions vary by country, influencing leadership styles and organizing behaviors. Assertiveness, future orientation, gender differentiation, uncertainty avoidance, power distance, collective, collectivism versus individualism, in-group collectivism, performance orientation, and humane orientation. So enhancing cultural awareness, cultural heritage, understand your own cultural values and how they shape your interactions. Explore differences, the study of other cultures to gain insights into their values and behaviors. Stages of culture competence, the hoops model. So ethno, sorry, ethnocentrism, belief in superiority of one's culture, awareness, recognition of existence of others' cultures, understanding, cognitive learning about their cultures, acceptance and respect, validating others' cultures with comparison, appreciating and valuing, recognizing the strengths and weaknesses in various of different cultures, selective adoption is integrating valuable aspects of other cultures into your own, and multiculturalism is the comfort of interacting across cultures and an ongoing learning process. Attitudes towards differences, the real scales of attitude. So there are negative levels. repulsion, viewing differences as aggressive, pity, seeing differences as unfortunate, or tolerance, acknowledging differences as feeling superior, acceptance, where accommodating differences without valuing them equally. So positive levels, support, advocating for the rights of those who are different, admiration, acknowledging strengths and diversity. Appreciation is valuing diversity, comforting in insensitivity, and nutrients, embracing differences as essential of society. What is leadership in diverse environments? So leadership in diverse environments is relational leadership. So effective leadership involves understanding on how diverse impacts of group dynamics and decision making. Leaders should cultivate inclusive environments where diverse perspectives engage group knowledge and creativity. So benefits of diversity. So diverse contributes to innovate problems of solving and enriches the original culture. Embracing various viewpoints helps to prevent the ignorance and discrimination, ultimately leading to a more equitable society. So that brings me to the end of my part. I'll now pass you over to my classmate, Canal.
Uh, Good day, everyone. Is my mic working properly?
Yeah, we
Yes,
hear
you're
you.
good. You're good.
All right. So communication. So people communicate differently. In any group, individuals exhibit diverse communication styles shaped by their cultural backgrounds. Some may be outgoing and expressive and emotional, while others may be closed and guarded. Cultural differences influence behaviors such as openness, directness, eye contact, and attitude towards punctuality. Recognizing these varied communication patterns fosters better interactions and help avoid misjudgments. Instead of labeling behaviors as wrong or disrespectful, it's beneficial to consider the context and how individuals might wish to be treated. The concept of communities refers to groups of people who share norms about how language is used and what purpose it serves. These, these communities can be based on gender, ethnicity, workplaces, or shared interests. Misunderstandings can occur between people from different speech communities due to different community communication norms. Recognizing and respecting these differences enhances our ability to engage effectively in diverse cultures. For example, gamers or members of student government may develop their own language, which can be unfamiliar or exclusive to outsiders. So moving on to the next slide. Nonverbal communication. This plays a crucial role in expressing cultural values, norms, and perspectives. It includes elements like appearance, personal space, facial expressions, gestures, touch, eye contact, emotional expression, and time orientation, all of which vary across cultures. Misunderstandings can arise when we overlook these differences, leading to confusion or offense. It's essential to recognize that cultural differences in nonverbal communication are simply different, not wrong, when trying to connect with others. Next slide. So, conflict resolution. People exhibit a range of behaviors during conflict, from being confrontational to seeking harmony. Some focus on accountability while others blame or defer to authority. Different values and beliefs such as harmony with nature influences how they resolve conflicts. In relational leadership, managing conflict is crucial, especially during change. It's essential to maintain focus on goals, uphold ethics, and focus inclusivity, even when the temptation is to avoid a conflict or handle it differently. Next slide. So moving on to decision making. Decision making reflects different values, with some favoring majority rule and voting, while others prioritize included minority opinions through consensus. In some cases, unresolved issues may be possible. Some prefer authority or hierarchy to decide, while others believe experts or those directly involved should. Relational leadership emphasizes communication skills aimed at mutual understanding, not just persuasion. Effective communicators should reflect on how these perspectives influence their views and seek to understand and to be understood more clearly. So moving on to leadership and communication. So effective communication goes beyond persuasive speech or writing. It involves more than just persuasive speaking or skillful writing. The fact that we have two ears and one mouth suggests the importance of listening more than talking. Hearing is a natural process, but listening requires intentional effort and mindfulness. The next slide. Right, so true listening involves empathy, which is an intellectual and emotional participation in another person's experience, using their perspective and standards to understand them. In contrast, sympathy is feeling for someone while retaining your own point of view or viewpoint. Empathy allows you to understand others' feelings and experiences as they see them, even without direct communication, fostering deeper emotional connections. So, for example, when a friend with low self-esteem shares a negative experience, responding with a sympathetic point of view might be downplaying their feelings, while responding with empathy acknowledges their fears and validates their emotions. Empathy fosters deeper dialogue by recognizing and addressing the other person's feelings. Empathetic, so effective empathetic communication requires pausing, understanding, and building on what was said, rather than quickly criticizing or dismissing the speaker's point, as quick criticism often makes the speaker feel unheard. So moving on to assertive communication. Socialization influences how people communicate. Some women may feel silence or avoid conflict due to social conditioning, while some men may be socialized to be aggressive and dominate conversation. Effective communication requires everyone to have the right to speak and listen, make requests, and make decisions without apology. Assertiveness can be placed on a continuum from unassertive to aggressive, as seen in the picture below. Being sensitive means striving to be understood without overpowering others. Similarly, in relational leadership, success is not about getting one's way, but about respecting others' input, understanding, and fostering productive collaboration. So, an example extracted from the textbook to show the difference between aggression, assertiveness, and unassertiveness is if someone asks, "Could you substitute for me at the event tonight? I have had something come up and cannot go after all." An unassertive response might be, "Oh, sure, I guess I can." So even though you have several plans, you reply almost meekly. You deny your own rights and are intimidated into compliance. You may feel trapped or afraid to say no. You are fairly passive. So an assertive response, next slide, an assertive response might be, "No, I have other plans and cannot do it." Or, "I am sorry, I can't substitute. You might ask me again sometime when I would have a little more time to change my plans, but thanks for thinking of me." So this response acknowledges that the other person had every right to ask, and you have a right to make your own decision. Being assertive means you can say no without feeling guilty or without apologizing. So an aggressive response will be, "How dare you ask to do this? You always slack off on your responsibilities and I won't stand for it." So this response denies the other person. So this response denies the other person had any right even to ask for your help and is really appropriate. Next slide. And lastly, relational empathy. Working effectively together requires relational empathy, which goes beyond understanding another perspective and seeks shared meaning. It involves creating a third culture that blends the perspectives, cultures, and contexts of individuals to form a new common environment. This shared context develops its own language and values, fostering a culture where people are seen as good, purposeful, and capable of unique contributions. The beliefs we hold about others shape our interactions. If we expect conflict or irresponsibility, we may we may act negatively, but if we expect cooperation and responsibility, we behave in ways that encourage those outcomes, making our expectations self-fulfilling. So we got all of our information from the textbook. Thanks for listening. Any questions?
Okay, if there are no questions, I will stop the recording.